going to try to record this outside and see if the internet can do it. The weather in Toronto is amazing. Okay. I wanted to look at this one idea because I think it's really, this is one of the beautiful things about non-duality, is the simplicity of the whole thing. And I like the Course of Miracles because the Course of Miracles is like a in-depth examination of what we're not, essentially. Yeah. This sense of self, this sense of individuality, which is definitely arising. That you can't deny that that's happening. There's a mental system, there's emotions, there's sensations in the body. All these things are going on, yeah. So this is not a denial. Negation is not a denial of those things, yeah. It's just a kind of a clear viewing of negation is saying I'm not those things in order to sit back into what you are, the clear spaciousness of awareness, let's say. But the thing that I've been finding really interesting, and it's like the Course talks about this in a way. The Course says that a meaningless world engenders fear. Yeah. But what I find amazing is that there can be one viewpoint or interpretation coming from the head that can control an individual's life for their entire life. Meaning, like, if there's a setup in the mental system where the world is interpreted as fearful, like the whole thing, and no matter what happens, it's interpreted from a standpoint of the world being fearful, or let's say like coming at you. Yeah. If that's the interpretation of the head, it doesn't matter what contents comes at you from the world. Yeah. It's going to be engendered as it coming at you, meaning you're scared of it and there's like a separation there. The most fascinating part about that to me is that one interpretation is so influential it can control your whole fucking life. Everything is then seen through that interpretive lens of fear, which is incredible to me because the simplicity of that is amazing too. Where one interpretation or one viewpoint coming from the mental system, from the head, can control the entire life. Not only that, but it's distorting because the world doesn't have any meaning until it's given meaning. Yeah? Meaning that the head is giving the world all the meaning that it's have. And what we are as that clear, spacious awareness is giving the mental system all the meaning that it has. Because thoughts have no meaning until they're given meaning as well. Yeah. So essentially we're living as faith and we're giving it the meaning. Yeah. So if the mental system is interpreting the world as fearful and we're putting all of our faith in that mental system, then no matter what happens in the world, it's reacted to as if the world's coming at us. If you look at your own experience of life, see how that manifests, because the interpretation might be that the world you're looking at the world in fear, yeah? But the interpretation could be anything. It could be that the world is fat or thin or tall or skinny, yeah? But it's still an interpretation that's distorting what's going on, because the world doesn't have any meaning until the head gives it meaning. And then whatever meaning the head gives the world, if you are living as the head, you're living as that meaning. You're not living as what's actually going on. That's fucking incredible. Yeah? Because it could be one meaning. It could be one interpretation of the world. Like the interpretation that I'm less than. Your whole fucking life could be dictated on that, no matter what happens. You could win the Olympics and you would still feel that you're less than because of that interpretation. You see? Because it doesn't matter what the world presents, it's going to be taken through that interpretive lens. And that is controlling your life. You don't have to so much listen to the words and look at your own experience. Watch the mental system interpret everything from a standpoint of a core belief. And that's controlling your life. So what's the main core belief? That I am the mental system. That I am the I, the individual. Boom. This is the beauty of non-duality, is it goes right to the root of the thing. Yeah? It's not denying that there's thoughts happening, sensations happening, individuality arising constantly, emotions, all these things are going on, yeah? But even those are being then interpreted from that same mental standpoint. It is incredible, the simplicity of it. If you're living as that individuality only, whatever that individuality is interpreting, whatever's arising there, there's a claiming of that by the mental system, and if you're taking yourself to be that mental system, you're living as whatever that interpretation is. Yeah, so then really whose fucking life is it? Are you living or are you being lived by something else? Is something driving you? Because it might be a big misinterpretation that's driving you, and that's going to make you very uncomfortable, yeah? It made me super uncomfortable. Because it's like Paul Hederman says this all, you're going to be driven. You're either driven by awareness or God or Buddha nature or whatever, or you're driven by the mental system. But you're going to be driven. Yeah. The body is going to be led, essentially. The body and the mind are going to be led by something. That's the beauty, is the simplicity of it, yeah? It's not really that complex. You're born, you grow up, a bunch of shit happens to you. That shit programs the brain to see in a certain way. Psychologically, they would call that the development of the false self, meaning that we're living from a interpretive standpoint, and that false self is kind of manipulating and trying to play chess with life in order to keep everything in how it understands it. Yeah. Unbelievable. If you're living as that, you're living from a misinterpretation, and it's distorting what's happening. To the point where if you see the world as fearful, you could win $10 million, and you would say, I need 30, it's not enough, I need more. Yeah. I know people who make $100,000, $150,000 a year, and their whole thought system is scared that they're not going to be able to survive. The fuck is that? Travel. Yeah. Go around, look around, and get an actual grip on how much money $100,000 is, because it's a fucking lot. You know? But that to the head, if it sees everything as fearful, it's never going to be enough. It's never going to be enough. And as the Course says, a meaningless world engenders fear. It's very direct. I feel like when we look at our own experience of the mental system, which is not that unique, yeah, we have very common qualities of the mental system, I feel. Even in Buddhism, they would say the good qualities of a human being, yeah, they're quite consistent. It's not like they're super vast and unique, yeah. If I ask a group of people about anxiety, everybody fucking knows what anxiety is, so how unique is your anxiety? Yeah. It's like that terminal uniqueness they talk about in AA. That's that self-centered lens, man, which is getting put on those interpretations. Yeah. It's really the self-centeredness that sticks us to the idea. So if the world is seen as fear, I'm seeing it as fearful. Self-centeredness, yeah? That creates obviously a separation between you and seeming other people. This is the thing, we have to inquire into these presupposed beliefs and shit. Whose are they? That is the gem, I feel, of non-duality. Is it's not trying to purify or make this mental system, this individuality, into some non-individual, yeah? It's asking who it arises to. It seems to me to be much more direct, because it sees the simplicity of the whole thing. Yeah, it sees the programming of the mental system. And really it goes right to the root of it. Psychotherapy and all of those techniques are useful for the mental system, but the mental system and that self has a ceiling to it, you know? And when you see that you're not the interpretation deteriorates because we're giving it all of the life that it has. So I also don't believe that non-duality is saying don't look at the individual, because if you deny the individual, you're separating your experience even more. But it's almost a diving deeper into individuality to see what you're not. That's what I also think the value of satsang is to look and really examine individuality and how it manifests. And one of the most interesting things is I feel like it manifests this way quite simply in a way. There's a view that comes from self, that comes from that individual I. Yeah, let's call it a core belief. Everything that happens is painted in that core belief. Unbelievable. That core belief then, if you're putting all of your belief in that interpretation, you're living as that core belief, and it doesn't matter what happens, you're going to see it through that lens. Bang. Negation would simply say, who does that arise to? Whose core belief is that? Yeah? And then there's a realization that it's not your core belief. You stop believing the core belief, and it deteriorates. Unreal. It might not be that direct. It might take a lot longer. You might need to do mental work. Yeah, you might need to do psychotherapy and things. Just because those core beliefs can be fucking thick, man. You know, that interpretation of the world's scary can be a thick interpretation. It can really feel real, for sure. You know? I know that from depression and like the core beliefs that sit under that. I'm less than, I have to work really hard to get shit or be something. Those core beliefs, when they land in your skin, it feels super real. You know? And sometimes that's what the 12 steps do. They look at loosening your grip on that, your reliance on that, so you can start to see through it. Yeah. And once that stuff gets settled down, you can see through that shit. And then once it's seen through, you can start really questioning who's it arising to. Yeah. But this is the beauty of the whole thing. Is we live from these beliefs, but it's not like a ton of beliefs. It's like our whole life is dictated by like one or two interpretations. And I'm just talking from my experience, but I find it really fascinating that if there's a belief that the world is against you and you have fear, that belief is going to dictate all of your interactions. Your whole life is run by that belief, and if you don't see it, you seemingly have lived it can feel like you've wasted your life, essentially. Yeah? If you don't see it, your anxiety's super high. Your mind keeps running all the time because it's trying to stature or build itself against a world that it's seeing as fearful. Which is even crazier because the world doesn't have any meaning. The head is giving it all of that fucking meaning. Yeah? So the head is giving it meaning, and then the head's scared of the meaning it gave it. It's fucked up. It's crazy, man. So I really think it's important to talk about because it's what we can talk about. We can't talk about the spacious, aware wordlessness. Yeah, you already are that thing. So it's important to talk about this shit so we can start to see it and the influence it's having. And then we start to lose belief, take a little faith out of it and put it in what we are. Nowness, you know? Float around a little smoother through life. Things stop getting so heavy. The anxiety comes down. The depression comes down. And then we can really inquire, to who? To who? Because you're free now, but those interpretations, if they're dictating your life, that's exactly what they're doing. And the reaction to that is going to be a lot of discomfort and irritability, and you're going to want out of that. And you can't get out of that discomfort and irritability as what's causing it. The self can't get out of self. Thought is not getting out of thought.